What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fight Like Hell podcast, episode 72. We're coming to you on a Thursday, October 8th, in the year 2022, in case you're listening to us in 4027. That's, like 2 millennia away, but maybe somehow they encapsulated us and they preserved us. Maybe they have like upload and download at that point. So, like, we're actually digitally there listening to this podcast again. To my left, your right, I have my heterosexual life mate. This is Austin. How are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. And below us, we have Sarah. How are you, Sarah?
I'm good. Thank you.
Sarah,
Yes.
why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am down in Southwest Florida currently, from Massachusetts originally, and did all the normal, stuff until I, watched 9/11 happen and decided that I was going to drop out of college and join the military. So I did that and enjoyed that for 4 years as security forces member. Got out, moved to Florida. Just kind of figuring stuff out, I guess, down here. It's a lot different. Just working with some great organizations, met a lot of cool people, got involved with some cool stuff, and just trying to live my best life down here.
Yeah, you and Rex living your best life down there.
He's living his best life. He is spoiled rotten, but I think every
isn't
dog,
that the way it's supposed to be? Every dog is.
Yeah, I'm looking at him now, and he's snoring. Absolutely snoring.
Passed out.
Yeah, he's done. He has his own couch, and I had to upgrade my queen size bed for a king size to make room for him because he's a hog. But yeah, he's living his best life for sure. For sure. Yeah, he keeps it interesting. It's great to have him. I don't think we deserve dogs, and especially service dogs. They're something special.
Oh, 100%. Cool. Well, thank you for a brief summary. We're excited to get into your backstory and talk about the things that you're doing now and going forward, especially since you picked up Rex in your life recently. We will get into that shortly, but first let's hit a couple of our promos. Our first sponsor of the podcast is, oh my gosh, I choked there for a sec, is Invicta Coffee. Invicta Coffee, and they are a veteran-owned coffee company here out of Arizona. Spencer, our buddy over there, great dude, another infantry guy, and he started his own coffee company that's doing pretty well. They've also recently started rebranding some of their material. They're going through a shift where I think he's doing a lot of their artwork now, and they have a couple flavors that Austin and I really enjoy. My favorite flavor is definitely the bourbon pecan, which they did a collab with Sisterdale. If you would like to save a little bit and get some amazing coffee while supporting veterans groups that work towards PTSD, suicide awareness, please head over to invicta.co and use the promo code Fight Like Hell, all one word, to save a little. Go over there and put in Fight Like Hell. Our next sponsor is a company all three of us know actually pretty well, and that is Patriot Cookies. Patriot Cookies is a company out of Florida by Johnny B. Tack Fit, and he's a veteran as well. He's a good dude. All three of us actually know him. I'm pretty sure
the Cookie Monster.
The Cookie Monster, as we like to call him on the show. If you want to go over to his page and pick up some incredible cookies, I think they just did a Halloween special one too. He's constantly changing flavors
every week.
Sarah, have you had that? The Halloween one
not
yet?
The Halloween one. Not the
okay.
No.
Okay.
He's dangerous. He's dangerous. Those cookies are ridiculous.
If you need to gain weight, just go to Patriot Cookies.
Yeah, if you're trying to add a little bit more.
Well, he's got the vegan ones and the healthy ones. So
the vegan ones are good.
He just dangles the carrot, man.
But they're not
so
near
good.
as good as the Patriot.
No, you don't know that. Actual. You don't know that. Did you try them?
I have not.
Yeah, shut your face. All right, back to the promo. So to wrap up that promo, if you would like to be better than Austin and more like Rob or Sarah, head over to patriotcookies.co and put in the promo code Fight Like Hell, where you can save 15% off and try some of the amazing cookies, because even the healthy ones actually taste really freaking good. All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Good job.
All right. So, Austin, hit us with the next.
I mean, Weekend Adventures, me and you did nothing.
What did we do last weekend?
We didn't
I don't remember.
Nothing. I don't
Are you
think we
sure?
did anything. I don't remember you doing anything last weekend, and I know I didn't do anything.
I normally have like fun weekends. I have a fun weekend coming up, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
Or I could just mention it now.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. What are you doing this weekend, Rob?
This weekend's the first ever Saber 6 get together, and that's the post 22 challenge, which everyone was involved in. Even you and Rex were out there putting in some miles. I'm super stoked because I haven't seen Amanda in probably like 2 months at this point now. It's been over 2 months. I think she said the exact amount of days.
It's been over 2 months.
Yeah. And the last time she saw me, I could barely walk. So I think she's going to be happier that her boyfriend can actually do stuff with her and walk further. And we're meeting up with a handful of people down in Vegas or out in Vegas. We're going to do stuff over at the Strip. We're going to go out to Red Rock. We already have like a dinner set up, and it should be a fun event. To be honest, like we're going to have to re-strategize how we do it next time, just because I don't know exactly what the answer is to get a bigger group together. And that's something that I would love to like talk to, down the road, maybe the Patriot Games people about, just to understand like maybe better event setups, because they seem to know what the hell they're doing. And we're still very new at this. So yeah, but that's my weekend. And then from there, it'll be on to Houston for a little bit. But the cool part is, Allie's actually going everywhere with me. She'll be in Vegas, and then Amanda and I will catch a flight together back to Houston with Allie, and we'll go down and see little Finn and have a fun week down there. So that's my weekend coming up. What about you, Austin? You did nothing last weekend,
like
and
usual.
You're a fucking loser, and you're not going to the Saber 6 get together because you fucking hate everyone who's going. That's what I heard.
I'll be there in spirit, Rob.
I don't know you. I'm gonna turn off my phone all weekend. I'm gonna put you on like notifications like off.
That's not my problem. You're the one that usually calls me.
Whatever. I might not need to call you. All right, we're done bullshitting about our weekends. Sarah, tell us about your last weekend, because I think you actually wasn't last weekend the hurricane, or was that the weekend before?
No, it was last week. This weekend was not fun.
Yeah, so you've had a couple interesting weekends then, and a couple things, because you've had Patriot Game stuff and hurricane stuff. Tell us about it.
Well, we'll get the not so fun stuff out the way.
Okay.
Yeah, the hurricane was not good. I mean, it was. I feel like maybe we weren't exactly prepared in my area for how bad it got. I spent the last almost week helping my closest friends gut their houses and throw away, basically everything they own.
How much water did you guys get there?
It depends on where you're at. I went down Gulf Shore Boulevard in Naples, and there was water, boats up on second-story balconies, like literally flipped over on balconies, and just cars upside down. And one of my friends had, I had friends with 4 feet of water, and some people had a few inches of water. Some people, the water was up to their second story. So it a lot of the places that, I frequent, or they just don't exist anymore. So it's kind of, that's sad, but it's kind of nice, not nice that it takes this kind of tragedy, but to see, people coming together, volunteering, donating. My parents and I did a bunch of laundry for the linesmen that they're camped out not far from here. And people were collecting their laundry and just doing that for them. The first responders have been working their asses off. So it's, seeing everyone come together is nice out of this, but people are still without power. People are, living in hotels or, Airbnbs and stuff like that. So it was interesting. I'm fortunate where I wasn't home. I live in a little town right outside Naples, but I was in Naples during it, and I had a bush go through my lanai, and I'm not quite sure where it came from, to be honest. I know we had a couple tornadoes around in my neighborhood, but a bush, took my lanai out. So I got to get that fixed, but I'm very fortunate. Some people were not.
Yeah, no serious damage.
No, just screens. I got to replace screens. So my
Right,
lanai's, trashed right now, but screens and a power washing will do the trick.
And so you still have a house. You still have a place to live. So
yes, yep, I have power. Like I said, some people just got power. In Naples a couple days ago, we didn't get hit as hard as like Fort Myers and Captiva's gone. Sanibel's gone.
Devastated.
Sanibel is gone. I was going to talk about that next.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. I'm actually kind of staying off Facebook a bit and Instagram just because looking, it took a while to get like internet and stuff, longer than some people to get power. So you couldn't see, really what the aftermath was. I did drive around the day after just to kind of see, check on my friends that were on the water. And I mean, I've been to some pretty bad places, and the smell alone was like worse than any shithole I was in Iraq or Afghanistan. I mean, the smell is horrible. It still smells, but the devastation is just insane. It's mind blowing. So that was the not so fun part of my weekend, but training for the Patriot games is fun. I enjoy that. I'm actually, that's my upcoming weekend too.
Okay. So that's
getting out to
this
the range.
weekend. Okay. And
yeah, the range is good. So I'm going out on Sunday.
Okay.
Sunday,
and
Gunday.
what time does that event start, and how long does it typically go for?
Well, the games itself is not this weekend. I just go out on Sundays and train with some friends that also do the games. But the upcoming games in November is in Palm Bay, Florida, which is on the other coast, kind of north. It's a weekend, so it's from, people start showing up around 7:30 in the morning, and we've gone to the point where they actually had to stop it because it was so dark. It's intense, and it's 2 days. This one's going to be kind of cool. It's new. You do it with a partner, and Mr. Johnny Cookie himself is going to be my partner.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to broke-ass.
That's right.
Yeah, because he's broke-ass with the arms.
Yeah, his shoulders still fucking fucked up.
I know. Well, between his one arm being, jacked up, my leg being jacked up, I think we have a good chance.
Yeah.
You make one whole person.
Two halves make a whole, right?
Exactly. And, he's great. And hopefully I was actually just talking to him up until we started. And hopefully he's going to be good to go. With the shoulder.
He's like twice your size. He can just carry you, right?
Well, I'm going to carry him.
I was going to say
that's how this works.
Yeah.
We got to help our Marines out. They get confused easy.
Oh yeah, everyone. We had to help him the whole entire time he was on the podcast.
It doesn't surprise me. We love him though. No, seriously. He's an amazing. I mean, he really is amazing. I met him through the Patriot games because being with Rescue 22. He donates part of his proceeds to Rescue 22. So we always make sure our tents are next to each other so we can cause trouble.
Of course.
And he's just amazing. I mean, he's the guy that would literally give you the shirt off his back to help you out. It's really cool. So yeah, it'll be interesting this game coming up. This will be my first one that I'm competing in.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd done one before.
Oh, I thought you had already done them.
Yeah.
No, I should have done September. I regret not doing it, but I'm actually having a new leg built. So people aren't confused. I only have one of them.
Yeah. We probably. I didn't know to address that or not.
I thought you were gonna have a third leg put in.
But I guess eventually we'll bring up she's missing a leg.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just figured she was gonna have 3 legs.
Tripod.
I'm not even gonna go there. But yeah, so I'm having a leg built and it wasn't ready in time. And I'm still recovering from an injury. So it wasn't exactly clear to do it, and I was gonna do it anyways, and then I didn't at the last minute because
That's the Army way, right?
oh,
Just
not
do it
Army.
anyways.
She was Air Force. She's
Oh,
supposed to
Air
be smart.
Force.
She's
That's
smarter.
even worse. Yeah.
I mean, they're more
You're
intelligent.
supposed to be
like,
yeah.
whereas a Marine or
Just-
Army would just be like, "Fuck it, let's go."
Right?
Yeah.
Just push
Well,
through.
I was the only one like able to run the tent that time, like because we didn't have the whole team come out, so someone had to sell T-shirts, you know.
That makes sense.
Okay.
But I'm doing this one. I've been training about every week, specifically at the range. I train anyways, you know, working out and stuff. But it's interesting to Anthony, who runs the games, has been amazing with me as far as, you know, any adaptations I might need, which I'm really trying not to. That's why I'm having a new leg built, because I can pick up the weight. I just can't walk with it because I have a really springy foot. And when
yeah,
you
because
compress
you
the
have
spring,
like one of those. You have like the Blade Runner looking
the
one,
runner,
right? Or
the
kind
runner's
of,
foot.
yeah. But I don't
So-
run.
yeah, I was gonna say, but isn't that like designed more for like running, or like can you
Well,
talk
the
about your
one
prosthetic or?
Yeah, the one I have is if you were gonna wear a shoe, it'd be like your cross trainer. So you wouldn't necessarily run in it, but you could if you had to. It's more of like an athletic foot, basically. So I use it, you know, as my everyday
For like
foot,
walking
I don't know.
wrecks and stuff and getting around.
Yeah, and I go to the gym with it and the range, stuff like that. But this one that I'm having built is able to. So the problem I'm having is picking up, you know, close to 100 pounds. Plus, you know, you've got the gear on that weighs whatever it weighs. I can't get the return in the spring once it goes down, so I can't walk. I can't literally cannot pick my leg up because I don't have an ankle. So I rely on that spring to push me back up. So I actually was just at the prosthetist yesterday, and so we're having another leg built with a different foot to try. That's supposed to be able to take the weight.
So basically, you just need like a stronger spring for more of a return.
It actually won't spring as much because when it springs, it goes down.
It goes down,
and I can't get back up.
Yeah.
So if it stays up, then I can use my toe to, you know, push off.
Okay.
Because I'm trying not to, like, my back and hips are already, you know, jacked up anyways. So I'm trying not to cause more injury. But I'm also the type of person that if something hurts, I'm going to keep doing it. So I really, you know, my prosthetist team is amazing, and they know that about me. So we're trying to limit.
They know you're stubborn.
Yeah, they're trying to limit the injuries. Well, shit, I was walking without assistance 5.5 weeks after the amputation.
Oh, geez.
I put a leg on. They kicked me out of rehab, actually. We can talk about that later. So yeah, so that's what I'm working on now is getting ready for the November games in Palm Bay.
Okay.
And Rex will be doing it too. He's been training as well.
Of course.
That's what's up. Rex is a cutie. He's German Shepherd, right? Or
no, he's a Mal.
No, he's a Mal? Okay.
He's big.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, zero disrespect, but he's a bigger Mal. Like he looks like a shepherd almost.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, your German Shepherd's so pretty," and he gets offended. I don't care.
I'm sorry.
Like, fuck you don't call me that.
He gets offended. No, he's
gonna come attack you, Rob.
He's still snoring, like he's twitching. I'm looking at him right now, and he's like his tongue's hanging out.
Allie below me is like snoring right now. And before the podcast started, I just like walked off and I'm like, I gotta go. And he's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'll be back. I just realized that like the bed. So she has 3 spots. She has a bed underneath the desk. She has a cozy cave to my left. And then there's a couch behind me. And she'll end up at one of those 3 places, or she'll be barking at me, or she'll want TRATs, or she'll want to go out. Because she spends 10 hours a day with me at work, and then I come and try to do this podcast. And if I don't like play with her before or take her on a hike before we do the podcast, it's a disaster. So.
Yeah, Rex will sleep all day. He's like we call him like a unicorn. Mals, if anyone knows the breed,
no, we've had on a lot of lot of people that have had Mals and trained them.
Well, I mean, and we had Eric on too.
Yeah. Yep. So he is not that, like, any of the canines I worked with when I was in the military, like when they told me they're like, yeah, you're gonna get a Belgian Malinois. I'm like, why?
Right?
Like,
you're crazy.
It's so much work. And I'm already missing one leg.
That is a lot. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to, like, take him on the golf cart and like run him next to the golf. Like, what am I gonna do? This is the laziest dog ever. I just took him to my daughter's volleyball game tonight, and he sleeps. He lays on the bleachers and sleeps.
That's good though.
Like, I have some days where I'm super active and I'm all over the place, and then there's days where I'm just hurting, and it's a couch day, and he will sleep all day, and I take him for his walks a couple times, and then he goes to sleep on the bed and sleeps all night.
Hey, there you go.
It's perfect.
I mean, you can't ask for more than that.
No, he's phenomenal. But it's funny right now. He sleeps with his mouth open. It's cute.
Yeah. No, he's adorable, and it's amazing that you got a calm one, because when I was picking out a service dog myself, that was the only thing that was holding me back from going Malinois, because the weight of them isn't that heavy, and I wanted a dog that could help me with for seizure detection, but also could be carried out in an emergency. And I was like, Malinois kind of at that limit, because they can be like 50, 60 pounds. Like, I was looking at females too. And I one of my friends had a Malinois, and I would babysit it sometimes, and that thing was so crazy to the point where I was like, I don't know if I could handle this. Like, I think it's too much. And then I started talking to a couple of the trainers that were going to work with whatever service or whatever dog I wanted to go with, and we ended up going with a Vizsla, because they're lighter weight, and they too have a lot of high drive and really good smelling capabilities, but their nickname is Velcro Vizslas, because they'll literally just lay on you and sleep a lot.
Yep.
So
at band practice last night, one of the guys has one, and it's in your lap regardless. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't want it, it's happening.
Oh,
the dog is in your lap.
Like,
and they curl up in this little teeny ball. It's the cutest thing.
Yeah, no, she was in my lap today, or sitting on my knee. Well, I'm on a medical bed getting my leg worked on PT today, and she's like hovering over me, just watching the PT. And every once in a while she'll like lean down to like smell my ankle, and him look up at him, like kind of like, continue, you're good. And I'm like,
you're good.
Like, what are you doing?
Proceed.
Yeah, proceed.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I think you said it earlier, and we don't deserve dogs. Like, it's incredible, the bond. And Austin's a big dog guy too. He has his pups, two. And then I met Amanda through my dog. So I mean, like, dogs are the shit. Like, all right.
Agreed.
So let's get into your backstory. Okay. Tell us where you were born, what time.
Do you like long walks on the beach?
No, but give us like a little bit of
why'd
a backstory,
you join the military?
Especially
why the Air Force?
Well, you joined after September 11th.
Yes.
But why the Air Force?
I was. That's a funny story, actually. It's funny. It's funny. No, so I was in high school when 9/11 happened, and I was in the guidance counselor's office filling out college stuff, and the TV was on, in the office, and everyone was watching it, and I'm like, what the hell, what are we doing here? So I stopped and watched, because why not? You don't want to go to class, and actually watched a second plane hit. And I remember that day, like, I can't remember my door code sometimes to get in my front door, but I remember, I think everyone does, exactly what was happening.
You remember where you were exactly when that happened?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
So I made after, a few days went by, and we started learning what actually happened. My dad's a Marine, and I told him I was going to join the military, and he's like, that's awesome. Like, yeah, let's do it. And my mom, cried and was like, please don't. So,
Of course.
but my dad's like, go to college and go commissioned. He's like, if you're going to do it, that's the way to go. And I didn't want to. I just wanted to join because I had some friends that were joining out of high school. So I made a pact with my friend, and we decided, we'll go to college, give it the old college try, and see what happens. Well, I lasted about a year and a half. And I was like, I hated it. I hated it. I hated school. I hated being there. So we had family dinner. That was one thing my parents were like really big on. If you were not working, you were at home sitting at the kitchen table having dinner. And we were sitting there, and I was like, I hate this. I hate everything about this. I'm done. So I excused myself, and I was like, I'm going for a drive, because that was my thing. I would go for drives. And I got in my car and I drove down to the recruiter's office. And because it was so late, there was only one door open. It was the Air Force door. But I had told, but I'll go back a little bit. I had told my dad I wanted to join the Marines, and he's like, absolutely fucking not. He's like, no,
please don't.
No. He's like,
never
Air
let
Force
my
or
kid
Navy.
join
And I'm
the
like,
Marines either.
No.
I'm like, man, I hate boats. So, I'll consider the Air Force. I knew with my luck I would end up on a freaking boat. So I happened to go to the recruiter's office, and I was still gonna no, nothing about that sounds okay. So I go to the recruiter's office, and that door, the Air Force door, was the only light on. Everyone else was gone, because I was still gonna go Marines like I was like, screw it, whatever. What are they gonna do? So I did. I went and talked to the guy, and he's like, do you know what you want to do? And I was like, yeah, I want to be a cop, because that's what I wanted to do anyways. I had always been interested. I was that kid watching Cops, at 4 or 5 years old. I went to a Catholic school, which I got kicked out of in like 5th grade, but we're not going to talk about that. And it was like, dress up for what you want to be when you grow up. And I got called into the nun's office, or whatever the hell you call her. And my mom got called in. Well, when they asked me what I was, because I couldn't quite figure it out, they thought I was an aerobics instructor. And, because I had the crimped hair and the 80s kid. And, they asked what I was, and I told them I was a hooker. So that went over, real well. But not, once I explained it, it was like the cops that dress up like hookers to catch the bad guys. That's what it was. But my little 5-6-year-old brain didn't know how to explain that.
I'm just a hooker.
Yeah. So that started the whole interest in the cop thing. So I already knew what I wanted to do in the military.
Like, this is really a sting undercover, and I'm trying to catch you guys.
Yeah, but I couldn't explain that,
What's
my mom
crawling behind you? What's behind you?
It's a cat.
It's a cat. I was just making sure it wasn't like a panther. You guys have
it's a wild animal.
It's a large cat. That's Sheldon. Oh.
Sheldon.
He's always mad. Like, if you look at his face, he's just pissed off.
He looks like he's mad.
Grumpy cat.
Hey, cats don't. Hey, you don't own cats. Cats own you.
I got a 3-legged one too. I felt bad for it. They were going to kill it at the shelter.
If
so
it's in.
We're missing the same leg. It's great. It's like we're meant to be. But anyway, so yeah, I joined as a cop, and I depped for 6 months before I left for basic training, and did all that, and loved.
What year did you go in?
06.
06. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Once I got through like tech school and stuff to learn how to
whole like
be
4 weeks of like basic training.
It was 6, and
Ooh.
Listen, I think
what they do, they teach you how to write and read.
No, they taught us how to stay awake during PowerPoints, which is super freaking hard, especially when they like crank the heat and you're in Texas in the summertime. Like, oh my God, it's horrible. Yeah. Even standing up, people were like falling over, falling asleep. That's a skill that like not many people can handle. Yeah, I watched a lot of PowerPoints. Yeah, it was whatever, It wasn't my choice. I really wanted to go in the Marine Corps, like really.
What
bad.
would you have done in the Marines? Would you try
Same
to be
thing.
like an MP?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, because the fucking Air Force has to go and like name their things something completely different. Like,
Hey,
I
security
know. I don't
forces
even tell
sounds better.
people.
We're SF.
Like
no,
security
you're
forces sounds
non-military,
better.
I don't even say that. I just said cop because they get so confused.
Oh,
with
yeah.
security forces. I'm like, that sounds
Like
so
you were a
stupid.
security guard?
Like air police sounds stupid too. Like
Air police sounds terrible, actually.
Horrible. Not as bad as Space Force, and I'm sorry if anyone's on Space Force, but that's embarrassing. Like, I'm embarrassed for you.
Our
I could
last
never.
guest was on the Space Force, and they're gonna be offended.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You can look me up and talk shit. I don't care. Have you ever listened to the Space Force theme song or like their
No.
like, song?
No.
Please do it.
Can we
at some point do it?
I wonder if we'd probably lose our stream.
It sounds like it could be in Star Wars, like the background, which makes it even funnier.
Me. Have you watched Space Force, the Netflix show with Steve Carell?
Oh, it's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
They took like The Office, I think director, and made it Space Force.
It's hilarious.
So
they get a new uniform that looks like the moon. Yeah, seriously? They get a new uniform in like the Netflix show and it looks like the moon.
So they can blend into the moon.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It's worth a watch if you have the humor for it. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, well, I'm done with Dahmer, so I guess I'll move on to.
Oh yeah, that's what you opened up by telling us. You're like, oh, have you seen Dahmer? And neither of us has. But it's like I think that's like a typical girl answer. Is like, have you seen the latest serial killer series?
That's what I fall asleep to. I can't sleep with it silent. I have to have.
You know that's like a problem, right? Like that's not normal.
I mean,
that's like Evergirl, so it's okay.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Amanda,
my house is like decorated for Halloween like year round. Like I'm just totally into all that stuff. I actually did a project in high school on Jeffrey Dahmer, and like people were concerned. I just think it's fascinating. Like the criminal mind to me is fascinating.
I mean, I agree. I mean, did you ever watch Mindhunter?
No.
That is so. If you like those kind of shows, you have to watch Mindhunter. It's about the founding of how they created the Quantico behavioral science unit.
Ooh,
for the FBI.
See, all and, that stuff is
term, and how they created the term serial killer and like all of that. And they go interview like serial killers, and it's an amazing series on Netflix.
Huh.
Yeah.
I will watch that next because that stuff, it just fascinates me. And dealing with some of the people I dealt with, I worked with CID a lot. My last deployment.
Oh, the snitches.
And OSI. Yeah.
The snitches.
Interrogating those people were it just like I just was totally fascinated by it. Like just love it. Which now it kind of sounds like a problem, but I don't know.
So you were in the Air Force for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you stationed?
Georgia. The worst. It was the worst.
Oh God, we had to go through our basic there. It was about triple or quadruple the length of yours, but we were living there.
That many.
My
seriously was long.
I would hope they're giving you a firearm and you're in the Air Force. Like that's scary as fuck. Like they better train you on something.
They probably just showed her a PowerPoint and how to use it.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, we didn't even go on the range. Like they were like, here's
the PowerPoint. This is how you shoot.
If you can point out, like it was like, where's the trigger and like where's the hole where the thing comes out. Like that was it. If you could identify that, then you were good. I got a marksman thing for that.
Do you know what a grenade is even?
With an oak cluster.
Oh my God.
Just don't put your finger in this hole. You're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't look at it.
They were like, listen, if you're going to make an arrest, just don't use your gun. Like, just leave it in there. Use everything else. Last resort.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm surprised they didn't give you rubber bullets or something, rubber guns.
Blanks.
Yeah, blanks.
Some people should have gotten blanks. Yeah, it was
So you were in
fine.
Georgia the whole time? Well, you were in Texas
Yeah.
first and then Georgia, right?
Yeah, I was in Texas for a while and then in San Antonio, which was a blast. And then I was in Georgia, but I kept deploying because I hated being in Georgia so much. I liked working, like doing the job was fun. Because it's regular cop stuff, you know, for the most part. So that was good, but I hated being in where I was at. It was just terrible. So I just deployed as often as I could. But you will be happy to know people, you know, will tease me and be like, oh, you know, what was it like in the hotel that you stayed in when you were deployed? Well, I never really deployed with Air Force. I deployed with Army. So I was on FOBs. So I was at, you know, in shitty places. I didn't get.
You were in AC'd hotel suites?
No.
You had to work with guys like us, basically.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. My first deployment.
Bad for you twice, actually.
My first deployment, I was kind of in a dorm situation, but I never was there.
Dorm?
I was like a dorm, I guess, but I was literally never there. I slept in planes. I flew all over the place for my entire deployment. I was always on an airplane. I got to go to like 16 different countries and see some really cool stuff and some not so cool stuff, do some fun stuff. The training for that sucked. Like people would go to you ready to laugh?
It was more PowerPoints?
What? No, it was called Brave
PowerPoints?
Defender. Was the Air Force pre-deploy Brave Defender. You can look it up. I'm serious.
Oh Brave Defender. That sounds like something from fucking elementary school.
Yeah. So I never got to go there and do that stuff. I went through like SEER training and I went through Army combatives at Fort Dix. I never went to like the fun places. It was shitty training.
Where was your SEER training at?
Washington, Fairchild.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. SEER training sucks.
And I got GI Janed, we call it. That's what my guys called it.
Of course.
Yeah. But I didn't give in, and they didn't either, because they knew I would kick their asses if they caved and gave up information as I'm getting bones broken.
Yep.
So that was fun.
Know about the bones broken and getting in trouble for helping someone who's a woman getting hurt. So
yeah, well, my guys, like I said, my guys knew better than to do that, because I would hurt them back. So they didn't cave, but I did get in trouble. They actually ceased one of the exercises because I guess I balled my fists up like I was going to hit them back, and you can't do that. Like, I don't know. I thought, you know, in GI Jane, she kicked his ass, so I thought I could do that too. Apparently, couldn't. So I got in a little bit of trouble.
This is real life.
Yeah, I got in a little bit of trouble for that. But so I went through, you know, that kind of training, and I never went through like, you know, whatever. I don't even know what they, you know, what they did. But we did like we got to go to some cool Connex towns and stuff and do like with the sim rounds.
Sim rounds are the shit.
Yeah, they hurt
until you get hit. Yeah, it hurts so bad.
It's fun when you shoot someone else and then you get shot.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah,
you get tagged.
I got tore up.
No, yeah,
because they're like, you're small, just run, just go. We'll cover you. I'm like, there ain't no way in hell I'm gonna make it from here to there without getting smoked.
Right?
And sure enough, dude lit me up from my ankle all the way up to like my neck. It was horrible. I got destroyed. But you know, so I did some really, really cool training. The urban combat and stuff like that, combatives. That was fun. I like doing that stuff because it was more to me like a challenge than that's what I was looking for. Like I wanted the challenge of it. And then I was in Africa for a while. Which was disgusting. That's like the worst place in the world. You ever try to go to the bathroom in a kind of all over. I was in Djibouti. That's where I was like based in. And we flew to so many places. I stayed in Kenya for a while at a 5-star Sheridan,
of course,
actually.
Of course.
We had our own lazy river, and like this guy would follow you around with this mop thing when you'd come in from the pool. Our plane broke.
No,
okay. We couldn't get the part in for a while. It was like 5 weeks or something. It was great.
Right.
But I think the coolest thing is we flew over Lake Victoria, and I have pictures of this. So I took a picture of Lake Victoria because you know, how often are you going to get to see that? And then in the same day, we flew by Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh shit!
So it was cool to see those two things at this, you know, basically in the same day. Yeah, and then my last deployment was horrible. It was really bad. That was in Kirkuk. No, I was in Kirkuk.
Okay.
I was in Afghanistan in the middle, like the one of the deployments. I kept going to all these different places and would stay there for a while and then go somewhere else. They just kept moving me around.
What years were you in Afghanistan and in Iraq?
2007, 8, and then 2009 and 10. Okay. So 7 and 8, I spent some time in Afghanistan. Not a ton of time. I was in and out. And then I was in Iraq for a while in 2009 and 10. That was my last one.
That was an interesting time too, because they were trying to petition to bring out a lot of military. They were trying to get people to come back.
The SOFA agreement stuff happened about halfway through the deployment, and we were going outside the wire. I did TSE, tactical security element. Basically, we were tactical taxis is what I called us. So we drove convoys in MRAPs. I was the alpha truck driver for them. And we worked, like I said, we worked with CID, OSI, and ODA, Special Forces. So basically, we were outside the wire, you know, all day, every day, going to meets with the police chiefs, or transporting prisoners, or picking them up, or finding them. You know, we did warrants, raids, stuff like that. And the SOFA agreement thing started, so they wouldn't let us out. And then we were getting hit literally every night. I mean, you would just start going to sleep finally, and alarms were going off. I mean, they destroyed that fob every night. And it got to the point, I've got some funny, you know, videos and stuff of it. You get up, you know, at the beginning of the deployment, you're running to the bunker because you're like, shit, you know, you can hear them hitting, you hear the whistles, and you're like, son of a bitch. And then after like 2 weeks, I would get up.
You just lay there.
I would grab a Gatorade. I would go to the bathroom. I would grab my Sudoku book or whatever, or, you know, and then casually walk over to the bunker. Because at that point, you're like, fuck it. If it's going to land on my, you know, whatever, I'm not going to know anyways. So, you know, might as well go pee first. Yeah, so that was an interesting one. But it was, you know, I wouldn't trade it. A lot of shit went down on that deployment, but, you know, with the SOFA agreements, they wouldn't let us outside the wire. And then they changed it to, you know, you have to have an Iraqi escort. Why? Why would you want to do that? You know how many times they would take us to places where they weren't supposed to, or set us up, you know, in ambushes. And then, you know, EOD wasn't cleared to go out, but they're like, oh, well, you guys can go.
Yeah,
sure, we'll just black route it the whole way, you know. So a lot of times we were going out without EOD clearance, and there were some routes that they had those, and the EFDs, the copper things they started
EFMP.
using.
It's EFMP.
EFMPs, yeah.
Yep.
So that was huge on one of these routes, and it was like one of the main ones that we used a lot. And, you know, it's kind of scary going out on black routes.
Oh yeah,
those, you know, they were cutting through the MRAPs like butter.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting.
Those were tough times because you know, once like 2006, 2007 passed and they started introducing the EFMPs, that's when you just saw like strikers and MRAPs getting ripped to shreds. Total catastrophic kill on the vehicle, total catastrophic kill internally, killing the entire crew. Like I had friends that died from EFMPs that I served with. It was rough
scary
times. Like it's scary as fuck, and it was like a whole new element that was brought in comparison to like when I went over in 2003, 2004, like we were getting hit with IEDs that weren't strong enough to kill a striker or an MRAP.
Right.
MRAPs weren't on the scene yet, but the strikers would roll right through them. And, it was just crazy because then the second deployment out there, they created the EFMPs and they started ripping holes through the striker, even though it was V-hold. Like they eventually went to the V-hole, and it was wild. So like, yeah, I can understand. I was a gunner in Afghanistan on my second deployment, and it's one of those things that, like, you're going out on routes that haven't been cleared yet, and you're just thinking like, okay, when
you're
is
just
gonna
waiting
happen?
for it.
You're just waiting for it. Exactly.
I'd be driving, and of course I'm you can't tell how tall I am in this, but I'm not very tall. So I had to sit on a sandbag because I couldn't reach the steering wheel. So, the MRAP I had like the bus steering wheel kind of,
Yeah.
So,
I know what you're talking about.
And I had to wear an elbow pad on my left arm because the door,
the door with the glass and shit,
wreck my elbow.
Yeah.
So here's me, driving this big old truck down these roads, and you just wait for it because you're going to hit something. Something's going to happen. You just don't know when. I'm either running donkeys over or cars or, lawn chairs. I'd aim for those freaking plastic chairs. I was really good at taking those out. And you're just waiting for it, but when those routes got bad with those IEDs, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't. And they had us in up armored Suburbans. And I'm like, this is stupid. Like, we might as well just like ride a bicycle down the freaking street because it's not going to do a damn thing, and we had Humvees as well. And then the MRAPs, but I didn't even feel, you can't even feel safe in an MRAP with those things around. And fortunate, for us, we didn't take any of those, but, we had Army units that we'd see on the BFTs, and a little thing would pop up and they'd be like, don't come this way. We're like, shit. So it was interesting. It was interesting dealing with that, for a long time. But again, wouldn't trade it. I would do it again in a second.
Yeah. I actually got recalled back in 2009, 2010. And the interesting thing about it was I knew that my original orders, like I'd been out for 4.5 years, and
wow.
I apologize to people that have heard this story because we've talked about it.
I've only heard it like 100 times.
Well, you've heard it 100 times because you're my friend, but and I forget that I tell you a lot of times with all my traumatic brain injuries. But
right.
No, it was crazy because originally the orders were for Iraq, and it was to be on a detail to help with a couple of the prisons out there, help with demobilizing areas to bring soldiers and airmen, Marines, Navy personnel back to the U.S. And simultaneously, you guys were dealing with a bunch of new ROEs that have been passed where you guys were either had to be assisted to go out and do missions with the Iraqi nationals, or, you're trying to close down things, or you're still out there trying to enforce laws and work with the Iraqi nationals. Afghanistan started going fucking crazy, and they're like, they take 2/3 of our class that got recalled, and they're like, all right, 1/3 of you is going to Iraq, 2/3 of you are going to Afghanistan. And I kept telling my parents, like, hey, like, I'm going back to Iraq, but it's not going to be as bad as my first deployment, I don't think, because like I was on hit teams in my first deployment. Like, I would actually go out, snatch and grabs, go out, eliminate targets, high value targets, capture targets, kill targets. Like, it was intense. My first deployment was fucking nuts. This time around, I was going to be on like a unit that was just helping, like, demobilize and bring people back. So I wasn't super concerned because I didn't even think I was going to go outside the wire at all. And I kept telling my parents, I was like, as long as I don't go to Afghanistan, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine as long as I don't go to Afghanistan. They're like, Robert Zemsik, you're going to Afghanistan. I'm like, oh fuck. So like, it's weird because, you know, I didn't know many people that went over at that time, and it's interesting to hear that perspective and just, you know that you guys were dealing with a lot of bullshit, but at the same time, you know, when you guys are out there, you're risking your life because, like, the Iraqis, in my personal opinion, because I fought both areas,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the Iraqis themselves fought like pussies. The Syrians that would help them were good,
Mm-hmm.
and they would actually stay in the fight. But fighting the Taliban was tougher on an individual level. However, it was more scary to be in Iraq post 2004, 2005, which I wasn't there at that point. For my buddies that were over there, they said it was scarier over there just because of the EFMPs, whereas the Afghanis never really figured out the EFMPs. So they would have to take the fight to us versus, you know,
Right.
you go outside the wire every single time, you know, you're just like, well, it's inevitable. I'm probably going to get blown up on this mission. And so it's a lot
Our
to deal with.
SOPs, I shit you not, changed almost daily.
Yeah.
The stuff they were doing was so smart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate to give them credit, but the shit was smart. Like, for example, they started letting cows out for some reason. Like, everyone all of a sudden had freaking cows. And it sucked because you hit a cow in an MRAP, like I mean, it makes a mess. But you can't, you know, so what they started doing was shoving IEDs in
Yep.
cows' butts, you know, and sending them trotting down the road. So now you're paranoid every time you see a damn cow. Is it going to blow up on you? And then, you know, they were using the kids against us. So what they were doing, and this pissed me off. At the time, I didn't have a kid, so my thought process was a lot different. I mean, I had a kid pull an AK on me from 5 feet away, and I'm like, I Spartan kicked his little ass and didn't feel bad about it because they're being raised literally to, you know, find us. So what they would do is they would give these kids rocks and they would watch our convoys, and we would always do a sweeping. So we had a 50 cal, a 240, 240, 50 cal, and all sweeping opposite directions constantly. We were constantly moving. And they would take these giant rocks that were, you know, handheld size and throw them, which typical, right? I mean, how many times have you gotten rocks thrown at you?
A lot.
They would watch, though, to see if we would put a gun on them. So we weren't really, like, we would sweep them because that's what we were doing anyways, but we wouldn't actually, like, put a gun on them. Well, then they started giving them live grenades. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, you put the gun on the kid and you know, God forbid you have to pull the trigger. Now you're an American killing kids, but if you don't pull the trigger, then you're an American getting shot by a kid. So what's worse, you know? So they started playing games with us, and then they realized that they kind of took away our ROEs, which was super fun. We didn't really have any for a while. After the SOFA agreement stuff, they were basically like, just don't get killed. They're like, do what you have to do, don't get killed. So we would go out with an escort because the way the FOB was set up, Kirkuk, if, for people that don't know, to the north is the Kurds and to the south is the Arabs, and the city is split almost in half. And the FOB I was on was in the middle of this. So, and these people are fighting like crazy. So the Arabs would run the gates, the outer gates, and then, you know, US was in, you know, so you had to go through two gates basically. So we'd be waiting for our escorts for the, you know, we had to go out with the Iraqis, and we're like, I'm not following these people anywhere. So we made the decision that we would start following them, and then we would just take off some, you know, we would go a different way. So we didn't you know, we didn't really have rules, which pissed the army off because the army did, but our commander didn't give a shit. He's like, just don't get killed. He's like, I don't care what you do, just don't get killed. So that's what we did. And then we started with ODA running with them because it just got so out of control between the Kurds and the Arabs. And the Kurds, I'll tell you, I still talk to my interpreters. The nicest people I've ever encountered, and they're like special forces guys are insane. I would fight with them any day of the week. I mean, incredible training, and just the nicest people ever. And then, everyone else wanted to kill us, but, so it was interesting at that time, and we were the last group there. They pulled most everyone out of Kirkuk, out of that fob. We were the last tactical element to leave there. And then I think they blew up half the base after we left. But yeah, it's shithole, man. I'm telling you, and they're just they're smarter, but they're not. But that's why, because they don't want to fight face to face like the Afghans will. They are sneaky. We had a lot of the remote debts. That was like huge for them, and then they suck at mortars. I mean, we'd watch them fly over, and we're like,
"Oh yeah,
what are they aiming at? Like, what the hell are they aiming at?" And unfortunately, they would either hit the chow hall or one of the runways. So we either weren't getting mail or food. It was one or the other. But they didn't want to fight face to face, because I can't tell you how many times a mortar would go off, and then because of what we did, we had to find the poo. That was like our job. So the interpreters are on the phone calling, finding out where it came from. Why did it come from your backyard? We're supposed to be cool. And then we'd go out and find out why. So you can't trust anyone. And that was, the whole hearts and hands, or whatever the hell it was called.
Hearts and minds.
Hearts and minds. Jesus Christ. You have to be nice to them and make them think that, we're BFFs, and then
you're my best friend. I secretly want to kill you.
You're not. And we had this like one chief who we thought was like really cool. Like he would give us all sorts of stuff. Like one day he came in the back of my truck. I will never forget this, because as a driver, I didn't always get out, just in case we had to get out of there quick. So I just happened to be like in the truck digging around for something. And I look up, and I had my back doors open, and the chief comes out, and he's like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Please don't come in my truck." And he put 3 suicide vests in the back of my truck. And I'm like, "What do you do?" Like, he's like, "Here, a present." Literally,
that's good luck getting through that hellhole to get back there and move those vests. Like, you're not getting back there.
I couldn't, because my gunner was an ass. No, I love him. He was an asshole, but I loved him. He would fart in my face. I can't tell you how many times. He would spin all the way around and just crop dust the shit out of me on a regular basis. But he had left some stuff in the way, and I couldn't get back there. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? We're supposed to be cool. And you put 3 vests in the back of my truck.
Yeah, no.
And said, "Here's a present." No. No.
Not the present I want.
No, I might have left a present in my pants, but that was the only present that was there.
Right.
So it was, that deployment was stressful. After all that shit went down with the sofa. Yeah, it just, they're crafty. They are crafty, but you put a gun in their face and they shit themselves. They won't fight face to face. So whatever. It was fun.
You're here.
I did win an award for that, by the way. Most times putting a gun in someone's mouth. It was me. I won. I like to see how many teeth I could break. I didn't like them.
Yeah, they didn't make it easy to like them in certain scenarios, and it's just, I don't know, like those deployments kind of build who you are today, especially when you go in at a young age, when you're fresh out of high school pretty much, and kind of like sets the foundation. And here we are almost a couple decades later, and we're still dealing with ramifications of things that happened overseas. And I think that kind of leads us into what are we doing today to make sure that our friends, our family, know that we're okay and that we're pushing forward and we're trying to like do better things. And I think you met us 2 years, well, over a year ago now, just over a year ago, because I think you met us through the 22 challenge the first time around.
Yeah, it was the
Right,
first one.
because we were doing it with Rescue 22.
Yeah. And that leads me to ask, would you do the honors of telling us about Rex and like how you got paired up with him, what he helps you with, if you want to go into a little bit of details about your leg situation and Rex.
Yeah. So yeah, I met, I was actually doing a fundraiser with Wounded Warriors of Collier County, not affiliated with Wounded Warrior Project, totally different. And that's where I met Eric with Coastline Canine. He had a couple dogs out, and I was listening to him talk about the stuff, and he had, was talking about the dog training, because that's the Coastline side of it is just protection dog training and dog training. So, and then someone that was with him had mentioned something about, service dogs, and I was like, huh, because I actually, ew.
Twice.
Me and Sneeze down over there. Oh,
right,
got a hairball
with that. So Rex is not my first service dog. I had one for a very short amount of time, and long story short, the dog should never been a service dog. I didn't know any better, and it was terrible. And he got sick, and they took him back, and then I never heard from the place again. So moving on. So I didn't really think anything of it. And then like a week later, again with Wounded Warriors of Collier County, I was at another event, and they were there again. And I got a card from him this time because we were talking about the service dog stuff. And it took probably 3 or 4 months, because I didn't want to go through the process again, because it was so hard when you get paired with a dog and you work with them for months and months and months and months, and then you have the dog and then they take it away. Like, it was traumatizing. It was horrible. Even though the dog should have never been a service dog. It was still hard. And my daughter got attached, and it was rough.
It's always
so
harder when kids are involved.
Yeah, and I just didn't want to do it again. But I was like, you know what? It was August. I think it was in August. I don't remember exactly, but I called and talked to them and started, the application process. And, it was insane, the difference between the two places. The questions that the first place asked were very, I don't want to say generic, but do you have PTSD? Is that what you need it for? Do you have mobility issues? Is that what you need it for? And then it was kind of cookie cutter based on what answer you gave them. But with Rescue 22, it was, what's your day to day? What do you do when you wake up? Like, what's your whole day look like? What activities do you do? What side do you want to walk the dog on? Like, I mean, super, super specific questions. And then, I stayed in contact with them. I went to an event up in Punta Gorda, and Angela was like, hey, I think we have a dog. And she's like, I think it's a really good fit, blah, blah, blah. Went through the whole thing. And again, I went back to the apprehension of like, I don't really want to do this now. Because what if it doesn't work out? Like, how do they know? And it's, it's scary, actually. So then I found out, I met with, or not met with, but via like FaceTime and stuff with Katora, who is with the Coastline Canine that's up in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, in North Florida. And we went through even more specific stuff. So basically, in a nutshell, Rex is dual trained for mobility and for PTSD. So some of the stuff, is pretty standard, I guess, across the board, as far as, what I use him for. The PTSD mostly is to stay grounded. I tend to disassociate some, with panic attacks, and I just have trouble with certain places, like going certain places. It's triggering. Even living somewhere as nice as, Naples, Florida, it's weird. I mean, you guys, it's understood to certain people, and then other people just can't wrap their heads around it. But he will do the DPT if I need it, the pressure. He's actually trained. I don't want to wake him up, but this is one of the things I do when I start getting anxious now, and even though I do it, he is trained. He'll hear it, and he can be dead asleep, or I can put him in a place and he knows he's not supposed to move. But as soon as I start doing this, he is up and he's got his head between my hands to like snap me, out of it before I even realize I'm doing it. He just, I don't even know. He does so much. It's great. But, mobility, they trained him. I use a wheelchair occasionally. So I was like, so that's really not important. And they're like, no, but you do use it. And I was like, well, very occasionally. They're like, nope, he's going to be trained 100% on a wheelchair. So if you think you might do something, they make sure that these dogs are trained for that. So I'm a musician. I'm always at live music or I'm playing live music. So they actually trained him. He wears headphones, and they took him to live music events. I've done a few gigs where he just lays up on stage and sleeps. I take him, you've probably seen the videos that I post where he's like dead asleep with his headphones on and there's full band playing. So they made sure that they did that for me. And he came fully trained. Like there really wasn't anything that, I was like, man, I wish he kind of did this, or I wish he would do this or that, whatever. He'll pick up anything I drop. It's kind of nice with the laundry because I don't put it back in the basket. I just try to manhandle the laundry, and you drop one thing and then you bend down to pick it up and you drop something else. Well, he'll walk behind me and pick everything up and he brings it over.
He's like, I got it. Don't worry.
He's like, keep going. You're cool. But, and then I love this party trick. It's great. I always show people. As a female going to the bathroom, sometimes I don't have pockets and I don't want to put my phone down anywhere because he'll hold it. He holds my phone for me while I go to the bathroom. So that's nice. But yeah, I mean, they go above and beyond with training these dogs, and it may take a little longer to get them, but this dog does everything. I mean, when I told him that I go to the range and stuff, they made sure that he was okay with that and wearing, he wears the goggles and the ear pro. So they got him accustomed to that. Golf cart. I have a golf cart. So he trained on a golf cart.
That's how you know you're a Floridian and you're old.
If you got a golf cart, you live in Florida.
I go to the bar. We have a bar in town, and I ride my golf cart down.
Most Floridians do that.
Yeah. Well, my parents I'm retired. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, no one questions it. But so they really, I mean, they just went above and beyond, and I think they've had, of all the matches that they've had, and Angela's going to kill me because I can't remember how many. They've had one failed match, and it was because of an allergy that the guy didn't know he had, and they just trained another dog, a golden doodle, and swapped him out, and and it's fine. They've not had a match not work because Angela is so good. And because they ask a billion questions. I mean, stuff
they want to make sure
that
they want to make sure it's perfect for you. Like we have a friend Jordan who just got a dog from them.
Yeah, that's where I found out I was getting Rex. It was his fundraiser that I was at helping.
Oh, okay, yeah,
up in Punta Gorda.
We were from the beginning of that process. We're there, so. Especially when he had to deal with the other company that he got a service dog from.
And it was basically the same thing that we went through a very similar
situation. When you were telling that story, I was like, that's literally what Jordan went through.
Yeah, and Jordan and I have talked lengths about that because he had the same apprehensions I did before he got
yeah, of course.
So it was nice to have that though, because we did bounce off each other a little bit, and he would start getting anxious about it, and I would be like, no, trust me, just trust the process. I promise you, it's
it's worth it.
Because I did get my dog before him, even though he was already in the process, but it just works out that way sometimes because they really want to make sure the dog is perfect. So if they don't have a dog that they think is perfect, you might have to wait a little longer. I just happened to luck out that this dog, because especially using for mobility, you have to have a dog that's a certain percentage of your body weight. Because I do brace with him, and he has a harness that was very graciously Canine, Canine Mattis.
Yeah, we've had him on.
Yeah, we've had him on.
So
We've had him on the
they
podcast.
helped. He helped out, and a couple other guys from Live PD and Honest Petco.
We've had
plug those guys because they're freaking awesome.
We've had Ezra on too.
But they raised the money with the Nala's sweet potato treats to buy this custom harness that is absolutely gorgeous, from Bold Leaf Designs for him, for when I need just mobility stuff, which luckily isn't that often, but God forbid I need it. Anything I said, I was like, well, I don't really, and they're like, nope, he'll be trained for that, don't worry. And they did. So it just happened to, where Rex was already far enough along, and we just kind of matched up, with certain things. And again, where there's days where I'm super, super active and there's days where I'm not at all. And they knew that personality, would fit my household. Because when I'm busy, so I needed a dog that was able to, keep up with all that. And then also, chill on the days where I just don't do anything. Yeah. So it was really, just worked out perfectly. I really can't say anything negative about that.
Yeah, no, they're an amazing company and organization.
Yeah, they're so good. And now I'm doing more stuff with them, down because I have so many contacts from working with different nonprofits in Naples. I have a lot of contacts, and being here with Rex, now we can work as a team as far as educating, potential partners or sponsors, or going to different events, just because people, they want to see the dog. They don't give a shit about you.
Oh,
they
no, 100%.
That's fucking daily for me out here. Everyone remembers. Everyone remembers who Allie is. They don't give a shit about me.
About you.
No. And he's got his little, he's got a bow tie. He had a bow tie on today, but he has a little tux thing, and we go to these events and they're like, oh my God, where's Rex? Or why didn't you bring Rex? I'm like,
I'm a person
for whatever reason, but they don't care about me. They just want the damn dog.
Right.
That's why we actually had you on. We want to see Rex.
You want Rex. He's still snoring.
We don't care about you.
Yeah.
So what's actually so let's get into your leg and I guess the recovery process of that.
So
or whatever you want to cover for that.
Okay, so I had an injury in Iraq, and I knew it was bad, but we didn't have access to good medical stuff. We all got combat medic trained because we weren't allowed to even have medics with us. We had to figure it out ourselves. So I knew I had hurt myself. I won't go into those details, but
that's fine. We can just go into what the recovery was like for you, and then the pairing where you finally got with Rex.
Yeah, and the main part we like to cover is the mental health aspect of your recovery.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't lose my leg there. I got injured. And I went through 10 years of reconstructive surgeries and just hell. And I was diagnosed with CRPS, which is a nerve thing. And I was losing bone, and I had plates and screws and pins, and I mean, ridiculous. So in 2019, I finally got the VA, because dealing with PTSD alone was bad enough, because when I first got out, PTSD didn't really exist, and definitely not for Air Force, and definitely not for a female. They told me I had combat stress syndrome or whatever, and that it would go away. So I'm like, oh, sweet, cool. Well, it didn't. Things just got worse.
It just goes away.
So I went to the home base program up in Boston, and that was absolutely life-changing, because it got bad, really bad. It got bad. So I fortunately did not become a statistic, but it was pretty close. So I gave in and went and got help, which was good. But, dealing with the pain that I was in, they actually have nicknamed this disease, and you can look it up. the suicide disease, because there's no cure, and the pain is actually almost off the chart of whatever that pain scale is that they have. The pain of this is off the chart, and my quality of life was miserable. It was bad. I mean, it was probably the lowest I've ever been, and it wasn't even just the PTSD, it was the pain I was in. Are you okay?
The cat?
The cat is still
Cat's
sneezing.
sneezing fit over there.
Jeez. So in 2019, or we'll back up a little bit, I told the VA that I was going to cut my leg off. I said, if you don't figure out how to fix this, I'm going to cut my leg off. And that landed me in Grippy Sock town. They didn't like that. I was serious. I told them I was kidding, but I wasn't, just to get myself to not be Baker acted. So I just was at a loss. Like, I didn't know what else to do. And they're like, well, we're going to do another surgery. And I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, I was either in a cast or a walking boot or something for 10 years. Like, I just was done. So there's a general that lives in Naples, and I met him through home base, and he's an amputee. And he's like, I'm going to set you up with the Tampa VA, and you're going to go up there and you're going to talk to them. Well, Tampa is not in my network for VAs down here, but they have a spinal cord injury unit and a trauma, like the best trauma center in the United States for VAs. So I was able to get an appointment with this general's help, and I was sitting on the bed and I was like, I don't even want to tell them what I want, because they're going to think I'm crazy, like every other person has. And the doctor sat down on the bed next to me. I'll never forget this. And he goes, what do you want to do? And I said, I'm not telling you. And he's like, I promise. He's like, you can tell me, it's cool. And I said, cut it off. And he goes, okay. And I was like, wait, what? And he's like, yep. He's like, that should have been gone years ago. He's like, I am so sorry that, you've dealt with this. He's like, that needs to go. So that was actually in 2018. I'm sorry. I went to, I did an inpatient pain program for 3 weeks to just basically prep. I had to go through prep. I had to talk to a shrink. I had to join an amputee group, even as, before the surgery, just to talk to other people. They had me meet with somebody who had an involuntary amputation and talk to them one-on-one, and someone who had a voluntary amputation and talk to them one-on-one. Pretty similar situations, both for the girl that had the voluntary. So after all that, in January of 2019, I had the surgery, and I don't remember this. Dilaudid is amazing. But apparently I woke up and I said, it doesn't hurt. And my mom, who's a nurse, was like, well, of course it's not going to hurt. Like, you're high on pain meds, and, and I said, no, it doesn't hurt, because the nerve pain that I had was so severe, it made other stuff hurt. Like, not just where the injury was, like my hips hurt, my sciatic hurt, my back hurt. And I said, I don't feel pain. And my mom laughed, and she's like, go to sleep, it's fine. But I didn't. I woke up, and for the first time, I mean, obviously it hurt,
Yeah. But not the
it
same
was different.
as like.
And I had hope for the first time that eventually it wasn't going to hurt anymore. So it really changed my whole attitude on things. And I was in the hospital for a couple of days, and then they moved me over to rehab. I actually got up and walked with a walker. Like, I think it was 9 hours after surgery. I got up and made it to the door and back. And then I went to rehab.
That's the Marine in you. You can thank your dad.
Yeah, I know, right? But they kicked me out of rehab. OT was like, no, we can't even do anything with you. Like, you're fine. Because I had a year to prep. So I worked out. I got a personal trainer. I worked out every muscle that I knew I was going to need. And I'm fortunate for that. I have many friends who, were not so fortunate and, had traumatic amputations. But I took it really seriously, and I knew that I wanted to recover fast, but my attitude was so good for once because it didn't hurt. I had post-op pain, but it wasn't the same. And after I left rehab, you have to wait until you get the staples out. That was like 5 weeks. And I'm like, when can I get a prosthetic? And they're like, slow down. We literally just took the staples out. But I went and got, the first test socket done and walked out with a cane 5.5 weeks post-op.
That's insane. You're on mute, Austin. You're talking to yourself.
I'm talking to myself. I think it's a lot different for you because you went through so many years of that pain, So like you said, when you woke up and you didn't feel pain, you said it was a sense of hope. So I think it was a lot different for you compared to like other amputees we've had on, where they didn't go through the years and years and years of pain.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think it was. I'm not gonna say it wasn't as hard for you, but like from a mental aspect,
it was almost a relief.
Well, and
Yeah,
I had already said goodbye to, I have an uncle, he passed away not that long ago, but he was an amputee and it was traumatic. And he grieved the loss of his limb.
Right.
That bitch was already dead to me. It was done. So
yeah,
going into it, would even be different than somebody who like got in a car accident and still had the limb and then went and the doctors were like, hey, we gotta take your leg or arm or whatever. It's still different. And it's you don't have time to grieve that because it is such a life change. Like the things that you take for granted that like now I'm like, God, I remember for the longest time I couldn't take a shower standing up because I didn't have like a leg that could get wet. And then the first time I got to take a shower standing up was like better than taking a shower post-deployment without flip-flops on. And you know how great that is when you don't have to wear flip-flops in the shower. And then, it's just these little things like that it's so minute that you're like, shit, like I can't do that now. But not being in constant pain and I have bad days. Everyone, does with it. There's days where, I might eat Chinese food and because it's salty, it makes my limbs swell from the salt and then that hurts my back. And people like, Chinese food hurts your back? And I'm like, yeah. And then I have to explain why. Or I get like, a blister or something because I'm not listening to my body and, I do stupid stuff like that. But so you have that stuff, but to be doing stuff, I have a list of stuff that I'm doing because I was told I would never be able to do that. So I have this list that I just keep checking off because now I can. They make these limbs now, they're insane. I'm way better off now with it.
Yeah.
Like just so much better off. So I think, mentally going into it, I was fortunate in the fact that I was able to prepare for a year almost. And I think that helped with the recovery process. And I have a amazing support system here with my family and friends and stuff. That made it really easy. And I'll never forget. I have a video of it. The first steps I took, my daughter is like just jumping up and down and cheering because I couldn't even teach her to ride a bike because at the time I couldn't walk. I wore an AFO brace and was struggling, and I had days where I was fine. Like it was fine. I could walk. I could move and be comfortable. And then there would be weeks because you get that rebound pain where you're like, oh, a good day, and then I do everything, work out, do 18 loads of laundry, run up and down the stairs 100 times, and then I was be down for a week in pain. So I couldn't even teach my daughter to ride her bike because I couldn't walk or run fast enough to keep up with her on her bike, and that was like devastating. And now, I took her paddle boarding, and we go hiking and do all this stuff that I could never do before.
That's awesome. Did you deal with any like phantom limb syndrome or anything?
No, not like most people. I did have horrendous sciatic pain after the amputation. It was so bad. Like that hurt worse than anything. Now I call them like zappies. Like I'll get that. But what I have really bad is phantom sensation. So I always feel like my foot's there. Like right now I can feel my toes, but they're not there. Or sometimes it feels like I step in something wet. Like it's that crisp and that real. Like when I get a zappy or I feel something, I can tell you exactly. I could show you on my other foot where I'm feeling it. It's annoying. Cause like I'll get an itch but I can't scratch it, or my foot goes to
Right.
sleep, but it's not there to go to sleep. Like
Yeah.
it can't go to sleep. So that's like it's annoying, but I will
Mhm.
take that over phantom pain, which I get occasionally, but not as often as a lot of people do. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that.
Okay.
Well, it's
So
just
yeah.
Go ahead. I wanted to comment on this just because
Yeah, go ahead.
you know, I think like when I was going through like the beginning of like my reconstructive surgery on my ankle, like there was a couple times like Sarah and I were just bullshitting or something like that, or I was talking to Jordan, or I was talking to our friend Aaron who got shot in the knee, and like the entire time I felt like shit because I'm like, why am I complaining to a girl who doesn't have a leg? And why am I complaining to Jordan who doesn't have a leg? Why am I complaining to our buddy who, had to have like full reconstructive surgery on his knee and all the way down because he got shot? And it's just
No, but that's your pain though. Like don't feel bad about,
it's
because
not even
Jordan's better off too. You know what I
I
mean?
know, but
Like,
and his
Yeah, oh,
stories his story is a little bit similar because
yeah.
his was a kind of a fuck up on the VA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you guys got to talk about that, and at the end of the day, his was, I guess you would call it voluntary too, then, because
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have a choice, really.
It was.
well,
He did, but he did.
I mean,
It
he
was, but it
did, but
wasn't.
yeah.
it wasn't, but like,
Yeah.
it's interesting. And then there was something else that you said that was kind of like hit the head of a nail with a hammer. Is we had that Marine on who lost his arm, Space Cowboy. What was his
Yeah.
first name?
Tejano Space Cowboy.
Yeah, and he's an advocate right now for upper extremity prosthetics because he was saying that like the lower extremity prosthetics have gone so good over the years because so many companies want to invest in these and like come up with better technology because there's more amputees at lower extremities than there are for upper extremities. So like it's shitty for his situation, but I think it's good in a way that they're coming up with things at least to increase your guys' mobility and allow you to do more things, especially like we're talking about at the beginning of the podcast with the goals of the Patriot games. And so it's interesting to like see you like touch on little things. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That's true. We've heard that from other guests and then one last thing, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So I started like skating again, and I can feel all the metal and stuff in my ankle, like pressing against it, and it hurts a lot. So I went in for my 6-month X-ray, like on Monday, I think, and we were talking about it, and she was saying that that's like pain that you'll have, and for a long time I was getting like phantom burns where like it would feel like I would wake up in the middle of the night and I feel like my ankle was on fire. Like I couldn't explain it. It just felt like someone took my foot and my ankle and threw it in a fire pit. And it would go away. And then the only reason why I want to continue with this is on Tuesday I tried to wear a boot for like 2 hours, like a hiking boot.
It was a new boot.
It was a new boot. And now for the past 3 or 4 days, and I don't even think I told Austin about this because I was like having like fucking panic attacks about it. I started like imagining that I messed up something in my ankle and I thought I was internally bleeding because like my ankle now feels wet. Like it feels like inside my ankle is wet. But then if you go like look at the ankle, there's no bruising. Like I talked to my PT today. He's like, listen, man, he's like, a lot of this is mental at this point because like you haven't done anything or taken like a bad hit in hockey. And he's like, I can structurally feel your ankle. Your ankle looks fine. They x-rayed it on Monday. But the whole like thing about what you're saying about like things feeling wet, like that's like a brand new sensation that I've never had before. And it kind of scared the shit out of me.
The brain is weird. I wish when I have these feelings that like someone could plug in and just feel what I'm feeling, because it is so legit that sometimes I forget that like I don't have a leg. Like when I'm sitting on a bar stool, especially when my leg dangles, it goes to sleep. And I have to like remember that I don't have a leg. Like it's gone, because it is so. I mean, one day I went through the whole process of taking my shoe off and looking, because it felt like there was a hair wrapped around my toe. Like that, it was that descriptive.
That vivid.
And it's like, but there's obviously, I'm not going to feel it. Or I feel mosquito bite me and I go to smack it and then I hurt my hand and I'm like, what the, it's the brain. It's just crazy. And they tell you all these tricks, doing the mirror therapy and this, that, and the other. And none of that worked for me. But they got these prosthetics now, and I thought about doing it and I didn't, but MIT was doing a study where they were doing the putting the electrodes on the nerves during the amputation or shortly thereafter. And then eventually the technology isn't quite there yet, but like I can still move. I have about that much calf left and I can still flex it. So what they're hoping is, the brain, they hook all this stuff up and you think of making a movement and the prosthetic makes the movement.
Yeah. It's Neuralink.
The muscle Neuralink reintegration thing. And to me, that's really cool. But I don't know.
You ready for them to drill that into your brain, though?
Are you ready to be you gonna be part robot?
I think it would be cool. Like
I think it would be cool. Too. And
I mean, but that's how your brain could do that. Like control a device. Like it's I
mean,
cool.
it's just nervous system. I mean, it's crazy.
It's crazy, but it's good. We're good.
I think too, like Elon Musk is behind that program. And like a big part of his plan with Neuralink is the first people that he wants to help out are amputees and people with like dementia. He wants to work on the aspect of like getting brain stimulation back to either limbs that don't exist through helping move them through nerves and or like helping with dementia patients. But they were also saying that like, the ability to have that chip in there, it could also work as like a processor, allowing you to collect data instantly. So you're getting the capabilities to potentially better your prosthetics, but at the same time collect data instead of having to use a phone for things. And it's wild where they can go with it. And
yeah, that's kind of scary.
Part cyborg. You'll be part cyborg.
I want all that.
Okay, so I have some, I guess, semi fucked up, more lighthearted questions I want to ask.
Yeah, let's go. I've been looking forward to this.
Okay, so my first
question. Are we getting into ATI or no?
No, these are out of ATI that I personally have.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll get into ATI.
Yeah. So like my first question is, one, what's it like with your sex life being a woman with no leg?
It's tricky.
Why would you ask that?
No, why not?
No, it's actually
because why not? Everybody thinks about it.
No,
why
it's
not
a good question, and I have actually been asked that a few times. And so the head of the department up in Tampa is an amputee herself. She was a below the knee and then had complications and is now an above the knee. So at first, I wasn't self-conscious at all about my leg. Zero fucks given. Now, I would rather run down a street butt-ass naked with like, during like a parade or something than anybody see my limb.
And why is that?
honestly, I couldn't tell you. And I asked her, because I actually kind of sabotaged a relationship over it because he wanted to see, and I was like, no, because it's not attractive looking. It's not, it's ugly, because it's flappy, because it's, the muscles atrophied.
Right, yeah.
And there's hair on it because you can't shave, not a lot because it from having the liner on all the time, it rubs off, but you can't shave it because if you get an ingrown hair, you're screwed, and the scar is fucked looking. I think I have it written down somewhere because I knew I'd forget because I can't even remember my door code sometimes. It was like something like 40 something staples and 50 something stitches. I mean, they did an incredible job with the closure, but it's not a good look. So I have these, they're called shrinkers, and it's what you wear when you first get the stitches out and stuff, and you can start really compressing because the quicker you can shrink the limb, the easier it is to get into a well-fitting prosthetic.
Right.
So in those situations, I will put one of those on to hide it, because I don't, no one can see this. And it's actually super distracting because you're like, if you're, whatever your extracurricular activities, that's what's on my brain the whole time.
Right.
It's really hard to forget about it.
You're completely naked, but that.
Yeah. And it's like, you just feel like there's arrows pointing like, hey, look at this weird thing, and it doesn't change anything physically, so to speak, but mentally, and I think especially being a female, we're already judging ourselves every second of the day anyways. So, and as someone who already has like some low self-esteem issues, you add that in and it's, it's terrible. Like I won't even get in a pool with it off. Like I have a water leg now though. But I won't, like nobody, I think like my mom and my daughter, because my daughter named it something weird, but they're like the only people who have seen it. Like I don't like, and my prosthetist, because they have to,
of course.
But other than that, like I just,
you just horrible. Don't want people to bring attention to it and point it out.
It's not even that. It's just I don't care about that. I mean, I've heard some weird stuff, but it's just, I find it like physically really unattractive. So
are there guys that think it's super attractive on you?
Well, there's a website.
There's a website. Only fans.
I'm this close. I'm this close. Make that extra money.
Hey, do you gotta do?
There's some people that are into it. I have never been with somebody who was like a lot of people, like I don't even think of it or notice it or whatever. And in my brain, they could say it 100 times and I'm still like, no, I don't believe it. Someone can tell me every single time, it doesn't bother me. I don't even think about it. I don't notice it, this, that. No, it doesn't matter.
But it's what makes you self-conscious.
So it takes a toll. It does take a toll. And I don't know if that's something I'll ever, because it's only gotten worse, actually, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
I think it would be the opposite. Because like I said, at the beginning, I didn't care. I really didn't care. And now I don't know why.
That was also at the beginning. To me, at least, it was just kind of a sense of relief. You didn't care because it was something you're living with now. So, it is what it is. And now because you've only had this for what, 3 years, 2 years. So, I mean, it's
still 4 years.
Okay. So it's still relatively new. So, I mean, I guess, time will only tell.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question, though.
I think everybody thinks it. Why not ask it?
It's.
But I also think too, like I think with time, in life, one thing that I've noticed is, can you guys hear Allie?
What is that?
That's Allie. She's rolling around on the ground right now. I think in time, like, we start hitting our strides on what feels normal, and then we start going down, and it feels like it can't go back up. But at a certain point, I think it either comes from within us, or finding that special someone that you're able to create that bond with. And either way, like, it should come back up. And just as a friend, I would say, if it doesn't come back up, definitely talk to someone about it, because at the end of the day, like, more than likely, if someone wanted to be with you, they're not going to care about that, and they're going to want you to feel better about it too, and not let it destroy you. But at the same time, like, we are our own worst enemies. Like, I can find
100%.
things I hate about myself that Amanda adores, and vice versa. And then Austin's got his insecurities. So, like, I think all of us bear insecurities. It's just, we almost have to fight back against those insecurities and say, no, you're fucking lying. Like, that's not true. That's not.
But that's hard. That's the hardest part about your insecurities.
It's very hard.
Fighting back.
It's very hard, but it's not impossible.
No.
That's what I'm getting at, is because, like, the whole entire reason why we have people on this podcast is we think our guests are some of the strongest minded, both physically and mentally, to get through stuff. Part of the reason why we actually come on is because we think you're a fucking badass, and like, we like the shit that you're doing, and we love the fact that you're friends with a lot of our friends who have been on this podcast.
You know the same people we know.
Yeah. We all like,
and it's
run with,
and it's a different point of view. I mean, it's a different point of view. We've had amputees on, but we haven't had a female amputee on, so it's a different point of view compared to like the guys.
What do the guys think?
I mean, well, it's different for every person, because we've had on one who he got in a motorcycle accident his first week on the job as a police officer, and had his leg amputated.
And now this dude is like,
and now he's a power lifter,
and he's a power lifter. He's a power, like, stick wrestler or something like that. Like, they, like, just hear me out. It's weird, but it's cool because he's fucking jacked.
He's huge.
He, like, they sit down on their butts, and then they hold a stick, and then they have a piece of wood in front of them,
and they try to stand up.
They try to like pull the other person over to their side. And I swear to God, I feel like his prosthetic helps him, or he's just that strong.
Oh, he's just jacked.
Yeah. If you need to get Rex, we can.
Yeah, I don't.
Because
I mean, we're gonna do ATI, and then we're gonna close out. So we got like maybe like 5-10 more minutes.
Unless you need to let him out.
He was sleeping. No, let's see.
Let's see some Rex.
Oh, there he is. He definitely looks like a German Shepherd.
Yeah. I don't think he'll come over here. Come here. Here. He's like,
he's like, not comfy.
Well, because he's not usually allowed on this couch, but see if he won't do it.
He's like, I'm not allowed, Mom. I know this.
Come here.
He's like, I know I'm not allowed there.
Oh,
yeah, pretty puppy.
Oh, now he's snuggling.
Come here.
There he is.
There you go. Oh yeah, he definitely looks like a German Shepherd.
I can see some of the Mally.
Yeah, his face for sure.
And you're wearing a Rescue 22 shirt. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But yeah, he's a big Mal.
Yeah, he's like 75 pounds. I'll move this up.
Jeez.
Isn't he cute?
What type of camera system are you using?
It's my iPad Pro on a like rolly thing.
It's an iPad.
It's an iPad.
That's pretty nifty. And like, you can just like push it around and it goes
around? It's on like a rolling couch desk.
Oh, okay.
It's like a desk that I can pull into the couch, so I can be lazy and sit on the couch.
Yeah.
So it's on wheels. It's just
all right. Interesting. All right, let's hit ATI.
Rob, you ready?
So, yeah, and those of you who might be new to the podcast, this is the point. If you're like Sarah's parents or anything, you might not want to listen anymore. We usually warn people. Okay, there's only one. Well, I guess you already asked a fucked up question too. So,
I mean, hey, I just had to get it out there.
My parents know way more than they want to know. I tell them everything. Sure. My goal
I gotta
is
let
to make
her
them
out.
as
I'm gonna let you start
uncomfortable as
ATI. She's like
possible.
freaking out. She needs a
Jeez,
pee.
hurry up. Jeez.
No, just
Rob just leaving us. Jeez.
Dipped
So yeah,
out.
we'll do ATI when he gets back. But let's talk more about like Rex and Rescue 22. And so you said they found Rex for you, correct?
Yeah, so he was actually a contract dog.
Okay.
And he wouldn't bite. So
how do they have a Mally that doesn't bite? Like that means
that's why he's
lazy.
Unicorn.
So he's lazy and he doesn't bite. And he doesn't bite. Like how is that a Mally? He's lazy and he doesn't bite.
So they pulled him and another Mal to see like if they would make good service dogs. The other Mal was not. So they excused that one. And so then Rex went to prison.
He doesn't bite.
he went to prison and relearned, how to be a house dog, because military and contract dogs, they live in kennels or whatever.
Completely different than.
So you would never know though, because he's just he's so spoiled. So he went and did all that stuff, and then went to Coastline for like the specific service dog training.
Right. Okay. But yeah, that's weird that he like complete opposite of a Mally.
Yeah, he doesn't like wet grass, so trying to get him to take a shit in the hurricane was super fun. Super fun. I was about ready to be like, dude, just shit on the floor, like, because he wanted to go out, but we'd walk outside and he's like, nope, not funny. Doing it. So I was like, just poop in the house. I don't care.
You're like, I don't care anymore.
Just poop in the house because this is ridiculous.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that Rob's back, we'll get into ATI. The first one is: would you rather spend 10 years in prison or in a coma?
Ooh, coma.
Why?
Because my sleep habits are shit, and I sleep on average like 3 to 4 hours a night, and I would be the person that would shank someone else in prison, and then I'd get more time, and I would never get to leave. It would be more than 10 years. Coma, all the way.
Okay, good option.
Knock me the fuck out.
All right, what about you, Rob?
I mean, like, I was originally thinking coma just because of the fact that you just wake up and it'd be 10 years later, and you're just like, holy shit, what happened? I would like the technology aspect of that. And then I would worry about dying in prison. So
yeah, that's what my thought was. Yeah,
I'm smaller framed, so like I might become someone's.
Maybe someone's bitch.
Yeah, which is concerning. I can only run so fast in a closed cell, and I can't run right now because my fucking ankle. Right. So there we go.
So yeah, that was my thought. Was coma.
Yeah, coma.
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, like I said, I'd be scared of just getting shanked or dying in prison and then not getting out. At least with
you just have to act tough. Like if you act tough, like you look tougher than you are. So like you could trick people.
I don't know about
just
that.
Trick them. Like when I first met you, I thought you were actually tough, and then I got to know you, and I was like, nah, he's a baby.
Says Rob, who's actually a baby,
grown baby. All right. Would you rather lose the ability to speak or hear? Sarah, what you got?
Speak.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. I don't talk to anybody for the first half of the day.
You gotta. You can't tell us. You lost your ability to speak. You're not allowed to speak no more. You gotta learn sign language.
You only need these. Like that's it. That's it. I'm good.
Like, fuck you.
I don't like talking to people anyways. Like in the morning, especially, like even my daughter, she knows, just don't even talk to me in the morning.
Where's my coffee?
And I'm half deaf in this ear. So
I'm half deaf in my left ear, so it's okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
He was in a baking accident. What the fuck is Allie freaking out about? Probably have an elk in my backyard. All right, what about you, Austin?
Well, if I say here, then I don't have to listen to you anymore. So I mean, that'd be a bonus. Then I don't have to listen to your bullshit no more. And if you lose your ability to hear, your speech is also like, you don't sound the same either. Because deaf people can't really talk either.
So what are you going with?
I mean, I guess either way you're kind of screwed. I'm gonna go with speak.
Yeah.
I'll just sit here and listen to you, Rob. To say I won't be able to say anything. I'll just listen.
See, I already don't hear well.
Right? Yeah, I don't hear well either.
I hate mornings as well, but I like the afternoons and evenings, and I kind of host a podcast, and I kind of do.
You're gonna be doing this on your own. I'm just gonna be here listening.
Holding up like pieces of paper with writing on
cue
it.
cards.
Nah, shit.
We'll do a text to speech.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go with hearing. I'll lose my hearing.
Okay, so we're all three just gonna. Well, we're gonna have two people that don't speak and one person that can't hear anything.
It'll all be silent. All right, next one.
Would you rather only be able to drink water or only eat salads?
Isn't that the same fucking thing?
I mean,
well, one's eating, one's drinking.
I hate water.
Me too.
Liquid death.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, is that what you're
Military
drinking?
ruined that.
You're drinking the mango one?
Yeah.
Me too.
Do you even know what this is?
It's water.
Me?
Special water.
Yeah.
No.
It's special water.
The only other fucking guest we have.
I don't know. I can't
Sarah.
tell who's looking at who.
Sarah. Like
you're looking sideways. He's looking
well, because
straight
my
ahead.
screen's over here, my camera's here, and it becomes weird for me to just stare at the camera. And then like I've been doing this for 70-something episodes. So like for all of a sudden, like, all right, the rest of the podcast.
No, I'm not drinking right now. I'm on a
This is just water.
I'm on a break.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. This is just flavored water.
I don't like mango.
No, this is water.
One. No, I know. I don't like the mango one, though.
Oh.
I wouldn't drink that one.
Mango
I'm drinking you guys know Redcon? You familiar with Redcon?
Of course.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so that's what I'm drinking is Canteen because I didn't drink water yesterday.
Okay. So what are you doing? Are you eating salads for the rest of your life or water?
Salads.
Okay. What are you going to pick, Rob?
Can you put ranch on it? Can you put ranch on the salad? Or is it just lettuce?
I mean, you can put whatever you want on it.
Okay, salad.
Technically put what I mean, that's what I plan on doing is putting something in my water so I'll drink it.
No, it has to be plain water. It has to be just plain water.
Wait, what about like could it have bubbles?
Yes, you can drink sparkling water.
I could survive.
Yeah.
I changed my answer. I would do sparkling water.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go water and just drink sparkling water because liquid death sparkling water is really good.
There we go. We're all on board. We all want to be in comas. We all want to drink sparkling water, and I won't be able to hear you guys, but you wouldn't be able to tell me anyways. Continue.
Yeah, we won't be able to speak, so it's okay. We'll just stare at each other.
Make it real awkward.
All right, next question. Would you rather lose the ability to lie or believe everything you're told?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We occasionally have those.
I don't know. I'm not a good liar because my face gives it away. Like I'm a terrible liar. I don't know. I don't really believe much of what comes out of people's mouths either. So I don't know. I'm kind of screwed on that one. I'm a more like guilty, until proven innocent.
Okay, so which one are you picking?
Yeah. To not lie.
Okay.
I guess.
I think I'm gonna go with lose the ability to lie and just be really blunt to everybody.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. Some people don't appreciate it, but
oh no. I mean, a lot of people just think I'm an asshole, but I mean,
yeah, same.
it is
I
what
actually
it
got
is.
called a bitch last night for being
What are you thinking, Rob?
blunt.
Unmute yourself and answer.
I'm gonna lose my ability to lie.
Okay, so you
'Cause
can't lie to Amanda
I'm
ever
pretty
again.
well. I'm pretty honest with her, and actually, that would be perfect because then she would probably believe me on some things I tell her. So I'm good with that. Yeah, I'm definitely
Okay.
going with ability to lie because it better my relationship as well. All right, last question, Austin.
Okay, would you rather lose both of your legs or never have sex again?
Easy. Both legs.
Take
I
them
am
off.
already
Bye.
halfway there.
Take my arms too. It's fine. You don't need those.
Oh my god!
Just be a vegetable.
It's fine. I'm
Just be a-
50% of the way there, so
You can just be a
that's an
bouncing
easy one.
vegetable.
That's fine. Perfectly okay with that.
You
Perfectly
think you're
okay.
insecure now?
Wouldn't
Take them
matter.
off. Yeah,
Bye.
that's what
you,
I'm
Rob?
thinking too. I enjoy sex way too much.
Yeah, hell.
I'm
saying
gonna.
might be better if you don't have legs.
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, no legs. I'll learn from my friends that don't have legs already.
So you don't have to worry about being on top. You just lay there.
Oh my God, no! You can be so creative with this. So when you guys asked me this, if you could ask me this before we started, my brain. So I have the mind of a 14-year-old boy,
So does
perpetually.
Rob.
Like that's where I stay. So when you asked me that, the first thing I thought of was like, man, like there's some like cool stuff out there, like like sex swings and like these
Make it happen.
apparatuses that would just be so fun if you didn't have legs. Like
Yeah.
you could do so many activities. It would be cool.
You're sex acrobats.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, geez. Okay. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, I said no legs.
Okay. So, all right,
Easy.
good. All comas, all drinking sparkling waters.
So I'll have one
hearing
leg in
each
the middle,
other.
and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
You sure that's a leg? I heard it's like a twig.
I mean, it's a small leg.
Fair enough.
It's like a baby Deadpool leg.
All right. Well, unless you guys have anything you want to plug, I'm going to close us out, and then make sure you stick around for a second, Sarah. After
Don't go nowhere, Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything that either you want to plug before I close this out?
No, I think I'm good.
Just real quick.
Want to say, yeah,
Oh,
go ahead. Sorry. No, you're good.
Just for R22, there's 10 vets right now waiting for dogs, and 95 cents of every dollar goes into the training program, and we're always looking for partners. So just want to throw that out there. 10 vets on the list waiting currently, and we're nationwide. You don't have to be in Florida. Nationwide.
Yeah, check out Rescue 22 for sure.
Yeah, as Jordan experienced being from Wisconsin, and one of the cool things about when we had Eric on was he broke down everything about how the nonprofit works, and we've actually had on 2 or 3 nonprofits, so we're 100% nonprofits. Where the interesting thing about Rescue 22 is all of them have jobs, such as like the Coastline Canines.
Oh yeah,
they have careers where they are bringing in their income to support something.
They're not running this to make a profit.
They're not running Rescue 22 to make a profit. They're literally a nonprofit. And the only reason why you said 95 cents instead of $1, in case you didn't listen to our Rescue 22 episode, is because they use that 5 cents towards like bills and actually like paperwork and we
all
have the legal documentation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
yep.
It's truly a nonprofit.
No one is on sale. Like no one makes.
No one's on the payroll.
Nope. Yeah. Nope, not a single person.
But yeah, no, so. I just want to say thank you for coming on. We definitely appreciate you coming on and bullshitting with us and telling your story.
No, I appreciate it. I've like Rob had said, we've gone back and forth for a while, and I love doing the challenges, and it gets me off my ass and makes my neighbors hate me as it is, but when I'm walking around with my vest with all my gear on, they're
What
like,
the fuck is
Jesus,
she
what
doing?
is she doing now?
What is
And
this
then
crazy woman doing in Florida on a golf cart?
yeah, my roadie cruising, listening to inappropriate shit. But
All
no, I
right.
appreciate you
Well,
guys having me, and
yeah,
it was
definitely.
fun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, we will keep you around for a second, but I'm going to close this out. For those of you who are coming out to any of the events this weekend for Saver 6, just talk to us in our DMs if you want to know any more of the details. Otherwise, we will see you guys in Vegas, and we will see you guys at Red Rock on Sunday. And other than that, this was the Fight Like Hell podcast, episode 72. We appreciate all you guys. Make sure you subscribe, like, unfollow, follow, whatever you got to do to help push us up in the algorithm. We appreciate y'all, and peace.